One moment of hesitation, one glance back, and a woman's fate was sealed for eternity. The story of Lot's wife was a tragedy, a tale of a woman who could not let go. She lived in Sodom, a city of great wickedness, and when the time came to flee, her heart clung to what she left behind. But as she turned back, she became a pillar of salt, forever frozen in time. Sodom and Gomorrah were two prominent cities located on the plain of Jordan, near the Dead Sea. The cities of Sodom and Gomorrah had become synonymous with immorality and divine judgment. According to the Bible, specifically in Genesis 18-19, these two cities, along with others in the region, were known for their rampant wickedness, violence, and sexual immorality. Why did God decide to punish them so severely? The most infamous sin of Sodom, frequently referenced in biblical accounts, was its sexual immorality. The term sodomy itself had roots in the behavior of Sodom's citizens. In Genesis 19, two angels visited the city disguised as men, and the men of Sodom surrounded Lot's house, demanding that he send the visitors out so they could sexually assault them. This act of homosexual violence represented the culmination of the city's depravity. Another significant sin of Sodom and Gomorrah was their inhospitality, especially to strangers and travelers. In Genesis 19, Lot offered his daughters to the men of Sodom to protect the angels. While this act itself is morally controversial, it is meant to illustrate the depth of the citizens' hostility towards strangers and their refusal to show basic compassion or respect. In the ancient world, hospitality was a sacred duty, and violating it was considered a grave sin. This act of inhospitable violence added to the wickedness of Sodom. In Ezekiel 16 verses 49-50, God provides a detailed list of the sins that led to the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, further elaborating on their moral decline. The people of Sodom were not just immoral, they were also self-indulgent and unconcerned about the plight of the poor and needy. Their arrogance and refusal to care for the suffering around them contributed to their spiritual downfall. The Bible also spoke of the violence that was rampant in these cities. Jeremiah 23 verse 14 and Ezekiel 16 verse 49 link the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah with bloodshed, lawlessness, and corruption. The people of Sodom had become so entrenched in their sin that their society had broken down into one of chaos and brutality, where the most vulnerable were exploited and justice was disregarded. By the time Abraham became aware of God's plan to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, the city's wickedness had reached an irreversible point. In response, Abraham pleaded with God, attempting to negotiate the fate of the cities. He asked, "What if there were 50 righteous people in the city?" God agreed that if there were 50 righteous people, he would spare the cities. However, there were not even 10 righteous people in the cities. Despite Abraham's intercession, the city's wickedness was so severe that God had no choice but to destroy them, sparing only Lot and his family due to their righteousness. God's judgment on Sodom and Gomorrah was swift and cataclysmic. Fire and brimstone, sulfur, rained down from the heavens, completely annihilating the cities, their inhabitants, and the surrounding land. The once prosperous cities were reduced to ashes and desolation. Before the cities were destroyed, God's angels visit Lot's home, warning him and his family to flee because the cities are about to be destroyed by fire and brimstone. They are told to escape without looking back. Lot's family, his wife and daughters, were urged to run for their lives, leaving everything behind. The impending doom was clear, God's judgment was imminent, and there was no time for hesitation. It was an escape from destruction toward salvation, yet it came with a critical instruction. Do not look back. The critical moment came when the family fled. Lot's wife turned her head and looked back toward Sodom. The text did not specify her reasons for looking back, but it strongly suggested a deep internal struggle. She was torn between her past life in Sodom, filled with memories, attachments, and perhaps comforts. At that moment, as she looked back, God's judgment was swift. Her body was transformed into a pillar of salt, and she became a permanent monument to the fatal consequences of disobedience and lingering attachment to the past. The fate of Lot's wife was not just a historical event. It served as a timeless warning to people of all ages. In the context of modern life, the story serves as a reminder to leave behind destructive patterns, sinful tendencies, and unhealthy attachments, and to embrace the new life that God offers. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content. See you in the next one.